The only problem with that is I don't think the Iranians have got the memo about any of that.
So Piers Morgan just delivered one of the most devastating political takedowns I've seen in years, systematically dismantling war propaganda with surgical precision. This is how you expose the gap between rhetoric and reality when American lives and trillions are on the line. Let's break this down.
You tweeted on April the 17th, or posted on X, we're getting the enriched uranium, we're getting a stop to enrichment, we're getting an end to the funding of proxies, we destroyed the Air Force, Navy, air defenses, defense industrial base and civilian leadership, all done in 6 weeks, geopolitical masterstroke.
This is textbook journalism, letting your guest make grandiose claims first, then methodically fact-checking them in real time. Chamberlain's tweet reads like victory propaganda from 2003 Iraq, all confident assertions with zero supporting evidence. The setup is perfect.
Because from where I look, they've still got the enriched uranium. They've made no pledge to give it up. They don't even want to talk about nuclear power. They haven't agreed, as far as I'm aware, to any end to funding of proxies. And they're still firing off missiles and apparently have a big ballistic missile capability remaining.
Every single claim gets demolished with observable facts. Iran still enriches uranium to 60% purity. Weapons grade is 90%. They're still funding Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis. The missile barrage on Saudi oil facilities proves their strike capability remains intact. Reality versus wishful thinking.
And the Strait of Hormuz remains closed with all the global economic mayhem that is causing.
20% of global oil flows through Hormuz. That's 21 million barrels daily. Closure adds $40 per barrel minimum, hitting every American at the gas pump and grocery store. This isn't some distant geopolitical chess game. It's inflation directly attacking middle-class families.
I'm not entirely sure this constitutes all done in 6 weeks or a geopolitical masterstroke. Why are you under that impression?
This is how you deconstruct propaganda, by demanding evidence for each claim and highlighting the contradictions. The logical structure is flawless. If your objectives were achieved, why are the problems you meant to solve getting worse?
The problem is we keep hearing it's all about to end. It was going to be 2 to 3 weeks, then it was going to be 6 weeks. Now it's like, well, it could be months.
I mean,
maybe years.
It's, the enemy gets a say. It's the Black Knight in Monty Python. Like, the enemy gets a say.
Well, exactly.
Like, if they decide they don't want to surrender.
The moving goalposts expose the fundamental problem. In Iraq, it was mission accomplished after 6 weeks. Then we stayed 20 years. Afghanistan was supposed to be months, lasted 2 decades. These wars never end when politicians promise they will.
We saw the same pattern in Vietnam, the same pattern in Iraq, and this is the one thing Donald Trump always said he wouldn't do. He wouldn't drag America into pointless, expensive Middle Eastern wars again. He has, with the biggest possible opponent.
Exactly right. Trump's 2016 and 2020 campaigns explicitly promised no more Middle East quagmires. His base voted against endless wars, not for the biggest one since Iraq. Now he's trapped fighting Iran, which has 85 million people and sophisticated air defenses.
America and Israel.
Like, it's narratives going both ways. Like, I hear an Iranian narrative coming from
my narrative is only based on what I see with my own eyes, which is the Strait of Hormuz remains shut. It remains shut. And that was the thing that was the massive miscalculation, which is all the Iranians had to do was shut down the Strait of Hormuz and attack their neighboring Gulf states, and they could cause total mayhem. And that has been the thing which I don't think was properly calculated.
This captures Iran's strategy perfectly. They don't need to win militarily, just impose costs America can't sustain. Hormuz closure was always their ace card, predicted by every serious analyst. The economic weapon was more powerful than their missiles.
Supported this war. And 1 in 4 Republicans, actually, I've seen in some of the polling, have grown to be opposed to it because they don't understand how this plays out and ends. So we are into very uncharted territory.
Republican war support historically craters when casualties mount and objectives remain unclear. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan all followed this pattern. When your own base abandons you on foreign policy, you've lost the political center of gravity completely.
Donald Trump's personal approval rating has hit record lows now this week because of this. And so I think that there's a kind of there's an asymmetric war going on, and there's also an asymmetric opinion war going on the conservative right in America, which is fascinating to watch as well.
The two-front war insight is crucial. Iran fights militarily while Trump battles Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, and the America First wing domestically. When your coalition splits on your signature issue, governing becomes impossible. Both wars are connected.
If I presented a set of circumstances to you where Donald Trump comes in for his second term in office, hits the ground spectacularly well, shuts down the southern border, pretty much stops all illegal immigration coming over that border, off to a flying start. Then a few things start to happen. Then a lot of stuff starts to happen. And now here we are, a year and a bit afterwards, so nearly 18 months now into his second term.
Trump did deliver on immigration. Deportations up 300%, border crossings down 85%. But foreign wars overshadow domestic wins every time. Ask Lyndon Johnson, who passed civil rights but got destroyed by Vietnam. Wars consume presidencies completely.
His approval rating is at a record low. He's trapped in a Middle Eastern war of the kind he said he wouldn't get involved with. Cost of living is now increasing again in the United States. And in fact, inflation has not been eradicated. So
Hormuz impacts everything: fertilizer, plastics, shipping costs, not just gasoline. War spending plus supply chain disruption equals stagflation. Americans are paying twice, once in taxes for military operations, again at checkout for basic necessities.
The longer this goes on, and the Iranian regime's only objective is to survive, the longer this goes on, the worse it gets for the United States and the global economy. And to anyone who pretends otherwise, and for Donald Trump's approval ratings, and for the Republicans' chances of hanging on to either a half of Congress in November.
Iran's leadership knows they just need to survive until November 2026 midterms. Every month of economic pain weakens Republican congressional chances. Time favors the regime. They're fighting for survival while Americans are fighting over grocery prices.
However, I think that Israel, through Netanyahu in the White House Situation Room and with the head of MOSSAD joining them remotely, painted a scenario to President Trump that if they took out the Ayatollah when they had this opportunity to do so and the top leadership, that the IRGC would collapse from within, the people would rise up, there would be regime change, and everyone would be far too distracted to worry about the Strait of Hormuz.
This echoes the Iraq WMD disaster. Intelligence agencies telling leaders what they want to hear. Netanyahu had every incentive to oversell regime collapse scenarios. Mossad's reputation doesn't matter if it gets America to eliminate their primary regional threat.
None of the rest of it happened. So it may well be that Donald Trump, for the best of intentions, having talked about this for many decades, genuinely felt this was a chance for all that to happen because the Israelis, through their intelligence, the Mossad, the finest intelligence agency in the world by their own statements, that they painted a picture to him which he felt would happen, and it simply hasn't materialized.
The charitable interpretation holds weight. Trump genuinely believed removing the Ayatollah would trigger democratic revolution. But the intelligence failure is staggering. Iran's Revolutionary Guards didn't collapse. They consolidated power and closed the strait immediately.
There's a real schism now in the conservative right. How does this play out, do you think?
The conservative split mirrors 1968. Hawks versus doves, establishment versus populists. If America First wins this battle, the Republican Party becomes isolationist for a generation. If interventionists prevail, Trump's movement dies. Stakes couldn't be higher.